Okay, so we have our couch, we've got our television. We're going to add a brick chimney, but before we do that, we're going to do a few more simpler things. We're going to add a door, and we're going to add a window. So doors are pretty easy. You got to think about a door though. A door is usually about this tall. It's about 6'6". It's not quite to the ceiling, but it's a lot more than halfway. So this door is going to be here, entering the room. So the door should come close to the top, but not to the top. So what I'm going to do one little point representing it. So just add one little dot representing the corner of the door. Now when we set this room up, we said that this is supposed to represent about 20 feet. A typical door is about this wide, or about 3 feet wide. So 3 feet is about 1/7 of the total distance. So if this is halfway, this is a quarter, a seventh is really only a very narrow slice. It's only this much. So the width of the door is going to be very narrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the bottom of the door. I'm going to go here, and then not quite to the edge, because doors never quite go in the corner of the room, but a lot of times they're very close to the corner. So I'm going to go like right here. So these two mark the width of the door. So make sure you have those two dots. Next, I'm going to make vertical lines. And vertical lines are very important that they remain vertical. So I use this dot to show me the height of the door. I'm going to come from this point, make a line straight up to there, and that represents one side of the door. We've got the bottom of the door right here. We've got the side of the door right here. We're going to do the other side of the door, the near side. Make sure that this is completely parallel. People can tell when your lines are not parallel. Everything looks kind of funhousey if they don't look parallel, so make sure they are parallel. This one's going to be a little taller than the other one. It's going to go, say, to right there. We want to make it taller than it needs to be, by the way, because we're going to erase some. So don't worry about making it too tall. We'll erase it. And the thing about that is, remember, always make your lines light. You erase almost everything in one-point perspective drawing. So we have the near side with the bottom and the top. Or sorry, the far side. But what we need is we need the top. And the way we make the top is a perspective line. Perspective lines always use the vanishing point. That's why we never get rid of the vanishing point. Everything we're going to draw in perspective uses this. So we make our top like that. And as you can see, in mine, it's not quite flat. And if you analyze the door, everybody knows doors are rectangles. But in this picture, it's not a rectangle, it's a trapezoid. See, it's a trapezoid that's representing a rectangle. So it's really good to get used to that kind of thinking when you're doing one-point perspective drawing. So I was thinking, kind of a neat thing to try to do is do an open door. A door that is slightly cracked. So one way you can do that, this is kind of a neat little thing you can do too. I'm going to pretend I have a little invisible compass, because a door swings like a compass, right, Susie? Get it? So the door is going to swing like this. So if the door is slightly open, it may go to this point. So what I can do is I'm going to place this point. I do a line on this. This is not a perspective line because this door is not on the plane with the rest of the room. And then I can come straight up here to show that the door has been opened. And then at the top, we're actually going to see the top of the door as well. And say it's a dark room next door because the lights aren't on in that room. You can just darken all this. Kind of takes a while on a whiteboard. Just darkening, darkening. And the door, of course, has a handle. The handle should be a little bit less than halfway up. Door handles are about this height, which is about 3 feet. The door is 6'6". So a little less than halfway up should be the handle. The handle is going to be sticking out a little like that. Again, this is not about artistry, it's mostly just about proportion. So we've got the door, it's slightly open. By the way, a door always has a frame around it. Some have nice frames, some have small frames, but the frame works just like the door itself did. I'll make a parallel line here, a little taller than the door. The only thing that we have to be careful about is the top. The top is another perspective line, just like the top of the door was. So as you can see, it leans slightly downwards. And then you come back and you have the rest of the door. So we've got our door frame. The door is slightly cracked. Actually, it's quite wide open. Okay? All right. So now on the opposite end of the room, we're going to add a window above the couch. So the way the window has to work, it works just like the door. It's a rectangle, but it's going to end up looking like a trapezoid, or yeah, it's going to look like a trapezoid. Good spot for the window to be would be exactly right above the sofa. This is kind of how we want to keep things organized. So we're going to think about this. The bottom of the window is going to be above the sofa like this. So it's going to be about right here. So put one dot on each width here, and make sure that the dots line up with the vanishing point. So they need to be in line with each other according to the vanishing point. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the vanishing point, I'm lining it by ruler, and I'm making the bottom of the window. Now this is the bottom of the window. The height of the window should go about to the same as the top of the door. It never goes to the ceiling. It should go about the same as the top of the door. So we're going to say about to this height. So what I'll do, I'm just going to make two lines. I'm not going to measure them. I'm just going to make them taller than they need to be, coming up from my 2 points. And then I line up with the vanishing point at the height, the point where I made the height. I line up with the vanishing point to make the top of the window. And so this little trapezoid represents a rectangular window. So that's about it for the perspective aspect, but to make it interesting, you have to start adding your own details. So we'll, first of all, cut it in half, this way. And then to cut it in half the other way, it's got to be a perspective line. So you line up with the vanishing point, and there you go, you have a little window. Just like the door, the window should have a frame. So we'll make vertical lines around it that go up above it. And then we'll connect those, again using the vanishing point, to finish our frame.
Nice.
So now we have a window sitting above the sofa, in front of the television, with a door on the opposite side of the room, slightly open. And doors and windows are really easy items to add. Anything that's rectangular and flat, pretty easy to add. The sofa, the TV, those are a little bit more complex. In the next video, we're going to add a chimney in the room. So that's going to be a challenge. But that's it for now. Thank you.